Salute to all the diehards. This is Die Hard Giants Live, and I am your host. I am Jarrell on IG and Twitter. You already know how I feel. The New York Giants lost to the Carolina Panthers, man. Arguably the worst team in the league, but, arguably we're the worst team in the league. So we're going to break that down real quick, talk about some of the stats that we're on. We already know that we're on a bye week this week. If you don't know, our GM Joe Shane had a press conference yesterday to talk about the state of the team. We're definitely going to go through some of that as well. Salute to everybody in the chat. Dwayne, Wonder Woman, salute. Y'all already know y'all my people. Y'all come here every week just to listen to me talk about this bum ass team. But yeah, we are Giants fans. We are going to watch every game, even though we know we're not a good team. And at this point, just for draft position, we all know that we probably should lose every game that we play for the rest of the season. But, we might as well get into it, man. We rip the Band-Aid off. All right, this is week 10. Welcome to the Huddle. Giants lost again in Germany, overseas, 17-20. In OT, that game had the nerve to go to overtime. Y'all believe it? But yeah, we lost in OT. Daniel Jones obviously did not play well up until like the fourth quarter and the last drive when he drove us down to kick the game time field goal to get into overtime. It's fitting. Like he sucked all game and didn't actually play well just to put us in position to maybe win. That has been Daniel Jones' MO ever since we drafted him. But we'll talk about it. Yeah, real quick, as you can see, numbers aren't really anything to call home about. Daniel Jones was under 200 yards passing. Again, 2 interceptions. Tyrone Tracy had a very, very good day until he didn't. Had over 100 yards. But in that overtime loss or that overtime period, we got the ball marched downfield and Tyrone Tracy fumbled the ball in our territory, and the Panthers were already in field goal range when they got the ball. So obviously that was a huge blow for Tyrone Tracy. Psyche, he's a rookie. He had a great game, and up until that point, I'm pretty sure he thought then when it happened, and he might even think now, even though I'm pretty sure his teammates thought otherwise, that he probably was the reason that we lost that game, even though he had a great game up until that point. I'm the type of person that never think one single play loses a football game. Football is a game of inches. Everything and anything can happen during a game. Tyrone Tracy was one of the reasons that we even got into overtime to begin with. He was one of the reasons we even got to that point. So I refuse to believe that just because he fumbled that ball, he was the sole reason that we lost that game. His play is what put us in that position to even get there. So, he's a rookie. Stuff like that will happen, just like Malik Neighbors, as you can see, 6 catches for 50 yards. But, it was a couple games that Malik Neighbors had some drops. Some say his drop cost us the first Commanders game, but I refuse to believe that too. These are rookies that we're asking to carry us. Tyrone Tracy's not the reason we lost that game. Maybe our quarterback in his 6 years should have played a little bit better, and we wouldn't have been put in that position. But yeah, that's how the offense went. That's how really the game went. Brian Burns had a lot of tackles and a sack. Bobby Okereke and Tyler Nubin, our rookie free safety, led our team in tackles. He had a very good game as well. Other than that, as I do every week, I'm going to go through the team stats. But, yeah, there's nothing really else to say to that game. Like, both teams obviously look bad. Yeah, it was not a good game. We had to wake up early Sunday morning to watch that, and I was kind of sad. But hold on, the let me get the team stats going. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. As you can see, total yards. We outgained them in yards, not by that much, but it was more. Passing yards, more. Rushing yards, they did run the ball very, very well on us. Hubbard, their running back that they just signed the extension to, he had a very, very good game. Pretty much the same type of game that Tyrone Tracy had, but Hubbard had a lot more carries, and he had like 156 yards, I believe. Yeah, yards per play. They beat us by a little bit, but not too drastic. This is the problem, though, and this is the reason why Daniel Jones obviously is not the answer at quarterback, but he's not the only reason we're losing. I mean, this is glaring. Like the first downs, we beat them in first downs by a lot. Third down efficiency is pretty much the same. No fourth downs from either team. But look how many total plays that we ran more than them. We had one more sack. That wasn't really neither one was really a factor. Punts was about equal. The penalties, they had way more penalties than we did, but we still end up losing this game because we had 3 turnovers to their 1, and we had the ball a lot more than they did. So that should already tell you that it's not just Daniel Jones. A lot of this has to do with coaching, even though I'm not completely down on Brian Dable, not as much as I am on Joe Shane. We'll get to that a little later because we're going to go through the press conference. But yeah, this team is obviously, not a very good team. We have a lot of holes. Daniel Jones is not the quarterback. Yeah, we're pretty much relying on rookies to get us through the season. And for an NFL football team to say that about an NFL football team, we're supposed to be 2-8 after 10 weeks. If we're gonna just act like the rookies, just because Joe Shane had a good rookie class so far, that that's supposed to be the foundation of this football team, which is weird. That doesn't usually happen. You really don't have rookies like that contributing to NFL teams that much. Yeah, here and there obviously are some good rookies, like Jaden Daniels for Washington is a very good rookie, and some other ones that I won't name. But just because we have those good rookies, that don't mean they should be the foundation of our football team going forward. Like, what's up with all the vets? So if the rookies are that good and we're 2-8, what's that saying about the vets? So those were the team stats. Yeah, I'm gonna just try to get us out of here quick. We'll have a whole week off. Yeah, let's get into this press conference, man. Because the press conference. Well, first, hold on. First, let me do this. I'm not going to talk about the Bucs game because our next game is against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it's 2 weeks from now. We have a bye week. But this is how our team stands so far after 10 weeks. 2-8 on the season. We have the very worst offense in the league at 32, 24th in yards, and our defense is pretty much been the middle of the road. But lately, they've been really, really bad. They've been teams have been running all over us. The only reason I think that we're in the middle of the pack now because of how good our defense started in the beginning of the season. At one point, we had a top 10 defense, and we still lead the league in sacks. But it doesn't really matter if you lead the league in sacks if you're bottom 5 defensive rushing team. Like Carolina ran all over us. They almost had 200 yards rushing. It wasn't a good game, let's just say that. And it hasn't been a good season. Like our defense is the youngest defense in the league. I give them that. So when you think of that, you got to kind of put things in perspective. But, the reason we have the youngest team in the league has a lot to do with our general manager. So we're going to get into that. Yeah. As you well know, or if you don't know, if you're a Giants fan, you should know that our general manager, Joe Shane, had his bye-week press conference yesterday. As a whole, I can tell you that I actually have less faith in Joe Shane after the press conference than I did beforehand. I wasn't fully, I wasn't fully like on board with him keeping his job going forward. I like Brian Dable. Let's just say I like our coach more than our general manager at this point. Joe Shane seemed kind of, I don't know. You could tell that I think he's really, really confident that he's not going anywhere. So the answers to some of these questions, he kind of seemed not arrogant, but he didn't really show accountability at all. And for a general manager, I really don't like that in general, especially when your team is this bad. Some of the answers that he gave, I don't know, man. It just wasn't. It's not what I expected. I expected him to say, "Yeah, we're bad. I have to do better," and stuff like that. Because a lot of people are saying, "Well, what do you expect him to say?" I don't expect him to say that. Yeah, this team is close. We were in close games, only one score games that hopefully we can win, and we have to learn how to win in the future. What good is like one score games if you're like one score games versus bad teams? Like we lost to the Panthers, it was a one score game. We took them to overtime. We should not be taking the Panthers to overtime. They are the worst team in the league. Before that game, people will argue that they were the worst team in the league until they beat us. Deep down inside, I'm actually happy because it helps with our draft position. But it's just some of the answers that he gave me I really didn't like them. This is him talking about Daniel Jones. Salute to SNY. I got a couple videos, a couple clips that they did from the press conference. And I also have a clip for our guy, Connor Hughes. I had him on the show before. He's a reporter for SNY and a beat reporter for the New York Giants. I really, really like him. He usually seems truthful, and I like the way that he talks about the team. But this is Joe Shane speaking about Daniel Jones.
How would you evaluate Daniel this year, Joe?
Yeah, in general, it's not just, I understand the question, and you want to pull him out, but it's everybody. Everybody's got a hand in this. Again, I know being the quarterback and offense coordinator, head coach, a lot of people like to point to those guys in general. Daniel's played some good games, and there's some games where maybe like to have some throws back or do things differently. But in general, it's not one individual or one situation that keeps occurring, unfortunately. So whether it's defense is on the field at the end of the game, we've got a chance to close it out, or offense has the ball in a couple different games and we could go down and score and close the game out. So again, we're going to look at solutions, and we're going to evaluate everything like Dave said yesterday, and that's what we'll do moving forward here.
See, it seems like Joe Shane is a very smart guy that's obviously been media trained. And if you listen to him and Brian Dable's press conferences, you could tell that they were kind of trained by the same guy because they kind of answer the questions the exact same way. That's why their answers don't seem genuine at all. He didn't answer that question at all. The question was, how do you evaluate Daniel Jones? He didn't answer the question. He talked about how everything is wrong with the team without still taking accountability for those things that are wrong, because he's the one who put this roster together. It's weird, man. Salute to Dwayne. What do you say? All I want for Christmas is a quarterback. Shador Sanders. Don't think it'll happen, though. Yeah. Like for most of the year, or when, I guess from the first few games, we'll talk about quarterbacks too, but for the first two games, my number one quarterback was Cam Ward out of Miami. He played for Washington State last year. Transferred to Miami. He probably is having the best season for a quarterback. He finally lost a game. I think they got upset by Georgia Tech this past weekend. He could have played better, but it's not like he played terrible. So it'll be a like a notch off his record because he lost the game. But I think Miami's still going to the playoffs. Shador Sanders, though, he's really impressed me, especially since now that his line is a little better, so he's not running for his life all game. I think Shador might have leapfrogged um, Cam Ward for me. Maybe just slightly though, but the season isn't over. They can flip flop. I really like both of them. If we draft either one, I'm excited. It's just that if we drafted anybody else, I'm not as excited. But we'll have that conversation at another time. I know everybody wants to jump into draft talk, and so do I because I love the draft. But it's so far out, and the college seasons hasn't ended yet. So, the book is still out on the couple quarterbacks that I like, and some of the ones that I don't. I'm not a huge fan of Carson Beck. I might as well put that out there from Georgia. Like I don't see him being a big time starting quarterback in this league. At this point, I don't even know if he's going to be a first round pick. But like I said, it's a lot of season left, and by the end of it, Georgia might be in a championship game. You never know. So that'll automatically, catapult him up a little bit in the draft board. But as of right now, I'm not a big fan of Carson Beck. Not a big fan of Ewers from Texas either. So my two quarterbacks are definitely Shador Sanders and Cam Ward. Jalen Monroe from Bama. I really like him too because of his athleticism and his ceiling. But he's pretty much not ready for the NFL. Like I don't see him, contributing in the NFL next year. Like he'll have to sit maybe a year or two in order to get the passing game down. But athletic wise, you could put him in the same vein as like Lamar Jackson. When it comes to being a dual threat, he has a cannon for an arm, but a lot of that is in here. Just like Anthony Richardson from the Colts coming out of Florida last year. Athleticism is through the roof, but that doesn't mean you can play quarterback in the NFL yet. Like he probably needs a little bit of time to sit as well. But like I said, we'll talk about the quarterbacks at another time, and I'll draft breakdowns for all of them, and especially when we do draft the quarterback that we get. So next is Joe Shane talking about some. One of the reporters asked him about like losing players like Saquon and Xavier McKinney.
There have been several players who were on this team that left in free agency and have had substantial success elsewhere. Do you want to reevaluate at all how you decide where the money's allocated in terms of in-house free agents, letting guys go, letting guys walk at all?
Are you talking about me specifically?
Yeah, meaning Giants players who went on elsewhere.
I mean,
you can go Julian, X, Saquon, anything like that.
Yeah, I like Tyler Newman. He's played well for us. He's one of the only rookies playing 99% of the defensive, play time. He's leading rookies in tackles, so I'm excited about him. Tyrone Tracy also leading rookies, in terms of rushing. So I'm excited about the young players that we have, and that's the build's tough. It hurts sometimes as you're going through it, but you got to go through it to get to the other side. And I like the young foundation that we've put in place. Whether it's Burns and Dex and Kayvon, and there's some pieces that are going to be in play. Neighbors, the rookies I talked about, Theo. There's some young pieces here in place in terms of the foundation that we're going to continue to build on. And another year of free agency and another draft, we're not far off. We're not far off.
So again, he really didn't answer the question. The question was, like, would he ever want to like reevaluate how he handled those situations? So instead of saying yes or no, he talked about how excited he is for the rookies on this team. So, just like I said, some of this stuff is not rubbing me the right way. He's not taking accountability for any of this. Yeah, man, I did not expect him to sound this bad during the press conference. To be honest, he sounds like a player, or not a player, but he sounds like, I don't know, he sounds like a coach that think he is going to get fired if he says something wrong. But I like the owner already came out. Mara already came out and said that he doesn't want to start over again. Like he wants to be patient. He feels as though that he wasn't patient enough with the other coaches and GMs that were fired. And he wants to stick with the guys that's in place now to see it through. I expected with that vote of confidence and They've even asked Joe Shane, do they expect him to be back? And he said yes. So if that's the case, I mean, why are you trying to sell what you did right instead of talking about what you did wrong? That's what it really boils down to. Some of the stuff that he's answering wasn't the question. I didn't ask you how good the rookies were. I asked you, how do you feel about Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney? Xavier McKinney is leading the league in interceptions, I believe, and we only have one on the season. I think we have the least amount of interceptions in the league. Not saying that that's solely why Xavier McKinney is a good player, but he's given a lot of leadership to that Green Bay defense. They're playing very well because of Xavier McKinney. He leads the league in interceptions. And that was a leader on this team that he got rid of. Saquon Barkley the same way. He's arguably the number one running back in the league right now. And, he went to our rivals in Philly. So, instead of answering those questions, he wants to talk about like the rookies that he's excited for our foundation. So I didn't like that either. This is Joe Shane talking about how close we are as a team.
I saw a stat last week. I think it was, through week 9 of the NFL season. I don't have the updated week 10, but the most one-score games in the history of the NFL. I mean, that's what it is. It's close games. There's parity, and we're 1-5 in those close games. And we're going to look for solutions and find ways to make plays in critical parts of the game where we can get over the hump when it matters the most. And we're not far off.
What do you think that stat doesn't say that much about the team then? Because if everybody's competitive, every game's competitive. I mean, if you look at it from a bigger picture, you guys are like 5th in point differential, the biggest point differential. So I'm like, being competitive is,
I would say red zone.
Higher, right?
I would say red zone is important, and we're last in the league in red zone. Okay, so we're moving the ball, we're getting down there, and we get in critical situations, and we're 32nd in red zone. We got to find a way to put the ball in the end zone, and that's a big part of it. That's a big part of it.
Why do you mean you guys are last in the league in scoring? Why do you think you haven't been able to score?
Yeah, that's what we're going to look at this week. I mean, we do it every week. We look at it every week, and again, whether it's execution, it's scheme, it's personnel, whatever it is, we have to figure out. And we believe we have the players in the building to do it, and it's execution. And it's not one individual each week. It's some guys, maybe we have penalties, or there's a drop, or we fumble, or it's just everybody's got a hand in it, and we just got to figure out how to come out and play a clean game with complementary football. And we've done that. We've won. We won.
There you have it, man. That's Joe Shane. That's our general manager. I didn't like that answer either. Like, we don't care how many close games that we lose. We're losing. So we're either the stat that he gave didn't make any sense. Like, who cares that we've lost games by like more than one possession, like one score games. I mean, like, who cares? Like, we're still losing. Like, we get blown out too. He didn't mention those. We don't just lose one score games. We lose by a lot. Like the reporter said, we're 5th in the NFL, bottom 5 when it comes to point differential. Like, in the games that aren't close, with the games that are close that we lose, there are plenty of games that aren't close that we lose. So that was what the reporter was getting at. Like, we're last in offense, and Joe Shane seems like nobody is to blame. Like, he's making it seem like it's not the players. If it's not the players, it's not the coaches. If it's not the coaches, it's not him making the decisions. Then what is it then? You can't say that, it has to have better execution. Well, why isn't the execution good? Like, he's not getting that far into it. He's just, making statements that we already know. And it seems that nobody, like him or Brian Dable, refused to say anything negative about anything. It's just that keep watching the film. We're going to get through that this week. Just because it's a bye week, you already said that you look at stuff and try to find solutions every week. Like, we're 2-8. It's been 10 weeks. So if you're going to look at it now, why would it change if it hasn't worked so far? Like, it's been 10 weeks. What the hell were you looking at all the rest of the weeks before the bye week? Like, you don't have any solutions. We're just a bad team. No matter how many times you look at the film, Daniel, like I watched that game, the last Panthers game. I watched it twice. Daniel Jones was just missing wide receivers, wide open. Like Malik Neighbors, at one point, it was like 3 consecutive plays that he went out past 15 yards, and Daniel Jones either didn't see him, or one time he threw it at him and kind of sailed it and just completely missed him. But it was a couple times that he was just running free in the middle of the field, and he wasn't pressured. He just didn't see him. I think, well, let's show the last, this is kind of huge. Salute to kind of Hughes, and salute to SNY. I got all these clips from, and like I said earlier, Connor Hughes is a beat reporter for SNY and the New York Giants. I like him, but this is Connor Hughes talking about the press conference and what the Giants will be moving forward.
Combative, tense. That's how Joe Shane sounded during his preseason press conference. I would not use those words to describe him here during his press conference with the media as the Giants entered their bye week. He was much more subdued, stressed that while the Giants are not happy with their 2-8 mark, he believes in the direction that they are headed. The primary takeaway, though, aside from the fact that a quarterbacking decision is going to be entirely football related and not tied to Daniel Jones' $23 million injury guarantee, it is that Shane believes he is going to be back and expects to be back as the Giants general manager next year. He will not be fired, reiterating John Mara's vote of confidence that he provided he and Brian Daboll just a couple weeks ago. Look, everything that I've been told is that Mara does not want to make a change. He wants to stick with the direction, keep some continuity within the Giants building. But after a loss to the Panthers, I do believe that everything is on the table. If the Giants can rattle off a few more wins, show that they truly are headed in the right direction, then yes, Brian Daboll probably going to be back, Joe Shane as well. But if this team that just lost to Carolina finishes with just 2 wins like they have right now, 3 wins, 4, changes might still be coming, even if they're not expected to at this very moment.
Well, there you have it. That's the state of the New York Giants, man. One woman said that I'm getting Gettleman vibes from Shane. Yeah, because that's what happens when you lose. Like, I don't know if you noticed that, like with the coaches and the general managers, depending on what your character is, it's always a lot of finger pointing, not answering questions the right way. Like real people that are supposed to be in these positions take accountability for their actions. So, like I've seen Brian Daboll take a lot of accountability, try to put it on him and not Daniel Jones. Lately, I've noticed that he hasn't been doing that, though. That was like last year and the year before. But this year, I've noticed that Brian Daboll, not throwing Daniel Jones under the bus per se, but he almost, like, if you really listen to what he's saying, he's pretty much telling you that Daniel is not the guy. I personally do not think Daniel Jones is going to play another snap for the New York Giants. I think they haven't acknowledged it yet. They refuse to say so, but I think they're going to bench him. They have an injury clause. We've talked about on here multiple times. He has an injury clause if he gets hurt and he cannot pass a physical next season, in the beginning of next season. The Giants are on the hook for, I believe, $23 million. So, like, he has an injury clause in his contract. So if I was the Giants, I would cut him. Well, first I will bench him, but in the offseason, I would definitely cut him, because if we cut him, it's like no harm, no foul. I think there is a small dead cap hit, but I think we save like almost $20 million on the cap just by cutting Daniel Jones. And we could either, if we do and we better draft a young quarterback in the first round, we're still going to need another quarterback to, push him along. I don't expect a rookie quarterback to start for us game 1 next year. Let's just say that. I don't think Drew Lock is that answer. I think he will probably be off the team next year too. Tommy DeVito might be the bridge quarterback for us starting in the beginning of the next season. I think maybe, to be honest, I think that's one of the main reasons they kept Tommy DeVito around, because not that many teams actually keep 3 quarterbacks, especially active on the roster. And if they do bench Daniel Jones, I do think Drew Lock will be the starter, not Tommy DeVito, because I think Tommy DeVito actually will help us win some games that we don't need to win. So I think they're going to go with Drew Lock. I do not think we're going to see Daniel Jones again. If I was them, I wouldn't even suit him up. I'll just have him inactive for the rest of the year because we're not going to play him. Like, we can't play him. Like, if you're going to bench him, say if Drew Lock comes in and get hurt, you can't just throw out Daniel Jones again. Hell no, it has to be Tommy DeVito. If both of them get hurt, it got to be somebody else that they get off the street. I don't think Daniel Jones should play another snap in this uniform. Yeah, that's what. Salute to my guy Kareem. Thank you for joining us, bro. Salute. Dwayne said Jones needs to be benched now. I just think Jones is losing confidence for passes over 25 yards. Not 25 yards. I think it's over 15. I think you should actually move that back 10 yards. Like, anything after 10 yards, I've seen him sail stuff like in the flat. Like, I'm not comfortable with him being my quarterback moving forward at all. It seems like I think the Giants don't want to, as a whole, as an organization, they try to think of themselves as a classy organization. And I think that comes down from the owner. So I think it's like a mandate going around that they can't say anything bad about Daniel Jones. And I guarantee you, even when they do say that they're going to bench him, they're going to put it in a way that they're not going to answer that many questions about it. I guarantee it. He's just going to say that, yeah, we felt that Drew is the best quarterback for us to win, which is not the case. Daniel Jones, much as I don't like him, he's still better than Drew Lock. Drew Lock is terrible. They got drafted in the same year. I actually think they were, I think I mentioned it on here before. They was in the Senior Bowl together. They was drafted both in the first round. Drew Lock isn't good either. He was drafted by the Broncos, fizzled out there, and then went to Seattle, fizzled out there, and then came to us. So both of them were drafted in the same year. Neither one of them actually panned out, but Daniel Jones is still better than Drew Lock at this point. So I don't think he's the answer for us to win any game. So I think they're going to put him in and pretty much shelve the rest of the season. Obviously, there is no tanking in football. You can't sit there and tell your team that we're going to lose. None of the players in that locker room is going to say that they're going to straight up lose games. That's not going to happen. So there is no tanking in football. Like, when fans say tank, they just say, like, hopefully the GM and the coach make bad decisions or make decisions to put players in bad situations, if that makes sense. Or if, like, one of their stars have like a tweak to their ankle or something, they'll sit them for a little longer than usual. They don't push people back from injuries. There is a complete difference than just saying that you're going to lose. Like, no football team is going to do that. Like, the players put their bodies at risk too much for that. So as fans, yes, we embrace tanking because of like the draft picks and stuff like that. But players are definitely not thinking about that. So Drew Lock is going to go out there and try to win some games. I don't think he is, because he's not a good quarterback and our roster isn't good either. So I actually do think that we probably go 2-15. We might squeak a win or two. I don't know where they're coming. I looked at the schedule. I don't think we'll be a favorite in any game for the rest of the season, especially since we just lost to the Panthers on a neutral field. We're not good at home. If we do squeak out a win, it might be on the road. And it'll be rare, man. So, it's going to be a tough season. Yeah, that's all I got tonight, man. Like, it was not, I was going to say it's a short show, but I'm lasted 34 minutes. Salute to Steph. Steph couldn't join me tonight. Salute to Eru. I think they're both watching the Knicks game. Last time I checked, the Knicks were actually down 20 and they then came back, and now it's a close game in the fourth. So I'm going to finish this up. Salute to everybody that came. Dwayne, Wonder Woman, Kareem, my guy, said, did we bench Danny Dime back yet? Not yet, but it's coming. It needs to. I don't think he's going to be our quarterback moving forward. So everybody enjoy their night. enjoy the week. Won't have a show next week. There's nothing really to discuss. Let's just say that New York Giants is at a turning point right now. That's going down. Let's just hope it keeps going down and we lose these games for draft position. Everybody have a good night. Salute to the chat. For everybody that's watching a replay game, like, subscribe, tell your friends about the show. Yeah, it's been Die Hard Giants. Peace.